I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jessica.
And this is 90s Babies Nostalgia, where a couple of millennial women re-listen and sometimes listen for the first time to music from some of our favorite artists of the early 2000s and now.
And just to be clear, we are not sponsored by or affiliated with any of the record labels, musicians, anything that we talk about. We just really love talking about music. And today we are talking about
Demi Lovato, part 2. We are going through Demi Lovato's career, specifically their albums. We're going through chronologically. We've gotten through the first 3. We've gotten through Disney. We've gotten through the first post-rehab. Now everyone knows that Demi Lovato is an addict with depression and lots of other things. Album that was a mess, which brings us into Demi,
which is their self-titled album that was released in May of 2013. This album gives us 13 tracks. It runs just about 48 minutes. It was released on Hollywood Records with a bunch of producers like the last couple albums, including the Suspects, Ryan Tedder, and Andrew Goldstein.
I thought you were referring to Ryan Tedder and Andrew Goldstein as like the suspects, like the usual suspects on a writing collab.
The Suspects is a duo though, but I didn't write down their names. But it is a popular duo that they produce songs separately and then together they produce a bunch of music too. But Ryan Tedder and Andrew are separate of that. Lovato was very, Demi was just involved in this album, has writing credits in most songs. The only songs that Demi did not co-write on was In Case and Firestarter. The vibes of this album is, I'd say, more similar to Unbroken, but less R&B influences. This one is more like pop, synth pop, bubblegum pop. We have our lead single, which is Heart Attack. It was released on February 25th of 2013, and it was produced by the Suspects, which I mentioned previously, but they've worked with everyone. Miley, Pitbull, Kelly Clarkson, Simple Plan, Joe Bros, Selena Gomez, Bowling for Soup, like everyone. Heart Attack peaked at number 10 on the Hot 100. It's certified 5 times platinum. It peaked at number 3 in the UK. Which makes it the first single to ever reach top 10 in the UK. Number 3 in Ireland and Scotland, number 4 in Lebanon, number 7 in Canada, and number 9 in New Zealand.
Wow.
It's certified platinum like everywhere. 3 times platinum in Australia, 2 times platinum in Canada, and then platinum in New Zealand, Sweden, and the UK, and gold in 5 other countries. It was nominated for Best Video categories for MTV's VMA Awards, and for the People Choice Awards, and the YouTube Awards as well, but it won the 2013 Teen Choice Award for Choice Single by a Female Artist.
It reminds me of Give Your Heart a Break and how it's like it was just everywhere. It's been everywhere. Like I've heard Heart Attack so many more times than I've wanted to. But sorry, continue.
Yeah, and it's one of those songs that like when you think you don't know it, even if you hear like one lyric, you'll then have the whole song stuck in your head.
Yes.
Which I feel like Give Your Heart a Break is that way too.
But unlike Give Your Heart a Break, I do think of Heart Attack when I think of Demi songs.
Yeah, agreed. The original version of the song before it was given to Demi had a dubstep breakdown in it, and then they removed it because they were like, that's not very Demi Lovato.
Thank God.
I know, right? The music video was very like her performing and then intermittently her in a white t-shirt with a slick back bun that had like a bump in it. That was a crime to humanity. It was terrible. I don't know who approved it. Did not love it.
Me either.
But she's black paint on her hands, and we see her, and throughout the music video, the black paint gets like all over her chest and her body. I have to be honest, I just don't get it.
No, I don't think I get it either, but I think there's something iconic about it. Like, I think the visuals of it were so strikingly different from anything else that she had put out at the time.
Yeah.
And it was very extreme.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get the point of it. No. The creative, above my head.
Yeah. I was like, clearly it has some like lore and personal direction included in it, but whatever that is,
Is that
I'm
clear?
not following.
Is
But
that clear? I'm pretty sure they were just like, "Heart attack, that's extreme. What can we do that's, like, also extreme? Black
extreme.
and white paint."
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, that's I didn't research this one was all you, baby.
Getting into the second single on this album, which is a weird one.
I'm so glad you said it because I was just thinking, "What in the propaganda?"
It's weird. I think they're like, we'll get into it. Made in the USA, it peaked at number 80 and it went certified gold. It was released on July 16th, 2013. And it won the 2014 Radio Disney Music Award for Favorite Road Trip Song because, of course, this song did that. In the music video, it showcases a few young couples who stay in contact with a boyfriend who goes off in the army and is at war. And there's moments of like, are they going to come home? Are they not? And later on, she dedicated the video to the troops of the US Army. I think this really sums up this song. It's not my favorite song. It's not my favorite music video. It feels very much like Demi got back from rehab. Maybe she tainted her image. Let's make her the poster child golden girl and let's make a song about America.
Mm.
You know?
She does her makeup and her vibe in this one is pretty all-American girl,
Mm-hmm.
for sure, so I
Girl
get what you're
next
saying.
door. Yeah.
Yeah, it does, like for me, it just feels gross, like, it feels kinda propaganda-y. I know that it doesn't have to be just to be associated with, like, war and stuff and made in the USA, but I don't know, I'm not a patriot in that way or nationalistic, so I don't love that stuff. It does kinda give, like, girl that grew up in Texas, though.
Yeah, that's why I say I feel like if this song was added to the album and the music video was done the way it was because there was an element of them wanting to like clean up her image for like middle America.
Yeah. I could see this song on Unbroken.
I just think that I could see this song not being on any of the albums.
Also true. But you know what? Demi does make and, like, Demi has co-writing credits on this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Demi does make political songs
Yeah.
sometimes, like Made Commander in Chief, and, like,
Yeah.
makes commentary songs, and this is just, like, a love song, but
Yeah.
it does somewhat track with some of the more atypical aspects of their career.
Yeah, I agree. And they said that this song was inspired by like wartime letters and wartime photos from like the 1920s, which makes sense.
Are you sure that they didn't just watch Dear John? Because that was also, like, not that old at this time.
No, I'm not sure. I'm just telling you what they said inspired them to write this song.
I think they watched Dear John.
Okay. The third single on Demi was Neon Lights, which I think this is kind of the standout of this like synth pop sound,
Mm, mm.
continuing it, especially on this album. It was released on November 19th, 2013, right after the announcement of the Neon Lights tour. It was produced and written with Ryan Tedder and Noel Zancanella. It peaked number 36 on the Hot 100. It went 2 times platinum in the US and Brazil and platinum in Norway. It peaked at number 12 in New Zealand and certified gold in New Zealand and Australia, as well as it was number 1 on the US Dance Club Songs, which was her first single to go number 1 on the dance club charts, and number 7 on the mainstream top 40 chart.
The song was also everywhere.
It was I almost think that this song was more places than Heart Attack, but people would not if
I disagree, but
you think
it was very widespread. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. In my world's view, I like putting my defenses up plays in like my worst nightmares. Like on loop, putting my defenses up because I don't want to fall in love. Because if I did that, I think I'd have a heart attack. I'm just like
yeah,
on loop, on loop. But Neon Lights is like a close second.
yeah, it's fair. This was the first music video, at least of the albums that I have covered so far, where it felt like a more traditional music video of this time. She had a bunch of backup dancers. It was fully choreographed. Everything else either had like some element of a story and her like performing with the band, but this was very like, I'm here to show off my body and myself and this song. And she's 21 at the time that this album comes out, and we get a nude swimming Demi. So this is like kind of her getting a little more risque.
Mhm. You know what's interesting about that being the first one with, backup dancers is I'm sure you've seen it. There's that video of her 17th birthday party.
Maybe?
It, like, went out on YouTube after they turned 17, and it was, like, a proper adult party. I was like, "I'm sorry,
Oh.
what?" And it was, like, a very high produced like, it was like a wedding video, but for their birthday party. And in it, Demi and a group of dancers in, like, black hoodies and stuff, including Demi, did, like, a hip hop dance performance for the crowd.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Which
It
kinda, like,
doesn't sound
explains
familiar.
Unbroken, but, like, Demi's always had some interest in dance.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and Camp Rock, it makes sense.
Yeah, and also I'm sure as a child performer, they were forced to learn it.
And then the final single on this album, so we get 4 singles with this album, a lot, was Really Don't Care with Cher Lloyd. It was released May 20th of 2014. It peaked number 26 on the Hot 100, was another one of the number 1 on the dance club songs. It was 2 times platinum in the US and then platinum in Australia, Brazil, and Norway. It was nominated for Song of the Summer, Best Lyric Video, Choice Breakup Song, Best Breakup Song, and won the 2014 Teen Choice Award for Choice Summer Song and the 2015 Radio Disney Music Award for Best Collaboration. The music video, it starts out with like a message of support for the LGBTQ community, and then it's just a video of her performing at LA Pride Parade. It features some cameos of Perez Hilton, Kat Graham, Bria and Chrissy, John Taylor, Travis Barker, and Wilmer Valderrama.
This is a song that feels like it's trying to save an image of a pop star.
You think more than the other one? I don't think so.
Well, yeah, I guess both of them to me, but,
Yeah.
like, this is a song that won a Radio Disney Award, was played on Radio Disney, wouldn't have had to be censored, it's that vibe. Could have been on Unbroken almost,
Yeah.
but yet also was an LGBT anthem. It's writing a very interesting line.
Yeah. It makes sense because I would almost argue that this song would fit more on like a Here We Go Again or something. But I feel like that's too early in their career to put something that then became an LGBTQ anthem on that album compared to
Mhm.
this, where you're like, okay, it makes sense.
I just think anything with Cher Lloyd on it sounds like it could play on Radio Disney uncensored.
Yeah, that's fair.
And guys, for the record, Jess and I's first ever concert together, maybe only ever concert together, was a radio concert, which I asked Jess to go to because I'm a good friend that invites their friends to concerts
They
because
respect.
Cher Lloyd was performing.
Yeah.
So like that's not a diss. It's just a hallmark of her sound.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. The self-titled album debuted number 3 on the Billboard 200. It went certified 2 times platinum. It reached top 5 in so many countries, but Argentina, Canada, Croatia, random, Ireland, Italy, Mexico, Norway, Spain, Taiwan, and Uruguay. It also got runner-up for Best Tour for the Neon Lights Tour for Billboard's Mid-Year Music Awards.
Do you know who won?
I don't.
All right, I don't need to know. I do remember this was touring around the same time as like Miley's Bangers tour,
Mm.
and both I couldn't afford either of them, and I was really upset about it all because they were both supposed to be like really good tours.
Bangers would have been an amazing tour to go to.
Yeah.
Like, so fun. That's just like such a pivotal point in Miley's career. Yeah, it would have been amazing. In terms of this album, this was kind of Demi, you have the punk rock, pop rock sound of the first 2 albums. Then you get the post rehab. We're experimenting. We didn't really write a lot of these songs. Kind of confusing album that Unbroken was. And then this
Tell me how you really feel.
album, it is confusing. I don't dislike it. It's just
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
confusing. This album was intended for a wider audience. So that's why I think it veers way, way, way more pop. So it was tended to bring in people who like were not already Demi fans, didn't necessarily follow her on the Disney Channel, and just draw in a new audience.
I'd say it also, though, like, picks up where Give Your Heart a Break leaves. Like, Unbroken was such a weird sonically produced album, but that element of pop that Give Your Heart a Break is in
Hmm.
mainstream now is, like, kind of the heart of Demi, and it really creates that 2010s Demi sound in this
Yeah.
album that, like, she's so known for as a power pop vocalist.
Yeah, totally. The album was recorded while Demi was on tour. Nope, she wasn't on tour. She was on the X Factor season 2 as a mentor.
Mhm.
And the album was supported by 2 concert tours. So we mentioned the Neon Lights tour in early 2014, but that was followed with the Demi World Tour, which is her first world tour. On the Neon Lights tour, it was really important to them to bring on other female artists as openers. So those included Fifth Harmony, Little Mix, and Cher Lloyd. Other notable things that happened at this time in Demi's life was they were on the 5th season of Glee as a love interest to Santana. I did not know this.
Oh, yeah, they were in the 5th season of Glee for, like, 5 episodes, 4 or 5, early on as a love interest for Naya Rivera Santana Lopez. This is before Demi ever came out, but this is the start of getting LGBT vibes from Demi with Really
Hmm.
Don't Care, with being the NYC main performer at Pride, and then being the Grand Marshal at LA Pride, and then also being a queer character on TV. Also came out with Staying Strong 365 Days a Year, which is a book that came out in November of 2013, and I wrote LMAO because I'm a dickhead and, eh, she wasn't sober yet.
No,
I
she
do
was
believe
not.
Demi became sober around 2014 or something because they mentioned, like, celebrating 5, 6 years of sobriety before their big relapse and overdose, so I do think this is around the time that they became sober, but, yeah, publicly had not acknowledged that they were not sober for the first year or so of their
Yeah.
preaching.
This is also the time where her father died in 2013.
Mhm. Also, she recorded the, like, radio version of Let It Go,
Yeah.
which I thought was notable.
Yeah, yeah, in October of 2013. And she broke the Guinness World Record by becoming the youngest X Factor judge in the history of the show, which I agree with Amanda. Why the fuck is that a record? I don't know.
Like, there's only, like, a dozen people who could qualify. I mean, even if you count X Factor in every country, there's, like, max 75 people.
Yeah, I agree. The competition is not very vast.
No, you have to, like, create that. Like, someone at X Factor, like, applied to Guinness to create that as an award.
Yeah.
Like, you know you can do that, right?
Yeah. You pay. Like the way Guinness World
Mhm.
Records work is you pay basically to be able to get a record.
So silly.
Getting into like our favorite songs plus just like notes on the songs,
Mhm.
Warrior is considered a sequel of Skyscraper, which I thought interesting.
Mm.
And it kind of makes sense.
Mhm.
Also, both Shouldn't Come Back and Warrior are songs that at the time Demi was like, these are way too personal to sing live. I don't feel comfortable singing them live. However, they have performed both since. Shouldn't Come Back is not a staple. They've only performed it a handful of times, but Warrior is a setlist staple now. It's on most tours. For me, songs I enjoyed, Heart Attack, obviously, and Neon Lights. Neon Lights weirdly gives me Miley vibes. Can't really understand it, but it does. And I do really like In Case, really don't care is just a bop. I don't know if I think it's the best song ever, but it's bop. And Warrior.
I pretty much agree with you, except that I think that Really Don't Care feels juvenile compared to the other songs. I
Yeah.
appreciate what they did with the music video and turning it into an LGBT anthem, but the sound of it, and I think it's because of Cher Lloyd and like all of that, but also in general, like it's a very like pop rock, Radio Disney kind of sounding song that just
Yeah.
feels a little out of place to me.
Yeah.
Whereas Heart Attack feels like a distinct departure in her sound into this more techno-y pop, strong, powerful that I like. I do think in general, like Demi is a cohesive sounding album, but I did get a little bored. I feel like Unbroken is a hodgepodge disaster, right? Not disaster. It's a mess. It's a mess with the arms and the things jutting out in the midsection, like the person
Yeah.
said. But what it's not as boring.
No, it is definitely not boring.
Some of these albums, like the first two albums and like this one and Confident, are like the sound is almost so cohesive that I'm like all of the songs are starting to sound a little too similar.
Yeah, I think we're in this weird midsection, which I would classify as both this album and the next album,
Mhm.
Confident, where they kind of all sound the same. They kind of blend into each other. There's no like, oh, that was different, or that was weird, or like, huh, this collab didn't really make sense, but I guess it's kind of fun. Like, they just feel kind of one note, not in a bad way. It's just that is how they feel as albums.
Yeah, agreed.
For the launch of Demi, though, she did something really fun where I'm like, I just feel like we don't, I guess we do. Just our viral moments are different now than they were in 2013.
Mhm.
But she made all of her fans make every single song title a trending topic, like a trending hashtag on Twitter. And once the song was trending, then the YouTube video was made available for the songs. And so it was only once each title was trending did the fans get to hear the music, and all of the songs were unlocked within 4 hours.
Interesting.
Yeah, very fun.
Really, when at the era where they started learning how to use social media for marketing.
Yeah, like, did Demi come up with that idea?
No, no,
I doubt it.
no.
But whatever PR marketer came up with the idea, snaps to them.
Did you wanna shout out the lyrics that you wrote down from In Case?
Oh, we can. I was gonna skip over it. I liked it. In Case is just a really, really, really deep, great song.
Mhm.
But lyrics that she has in that is strong enough to leave you, but weak enough to need you, cared enough to let you walk away. I'm constantly in awe that this person, like, that Demi can collaborate with so many different people, but still have this way of like, when you read Demi lyrics, it's very obvious that it's a Demi song.
Yep. Um, yep. I have more notes on that, related to that. And in my deadbeat dad shout out,
Yeah.
In Case is one of my guesses as a deadbeat dad
Mm.
song, and also Shouldn't Come Back. I
Oh.
think I listened to it today because I was like, I don't think I have a deadbeat dad song for Demi yet. So I like re-listened to this entire album while getting ready to record, and Shouldn't Come Back was like very distinctly about him.
Mm.
But then
Okay.
In Case was like maybe. But getting into Confident, which was our
Mhm.
next album, Demi like clockwork, go to rehab, doesn't matter. Like you're going to keep coming out with an album every other year, baby. So Confident comes out October of 2015, has 11 tracks, a runtime of 39 minutes, released by Hollywood, Island, and Safe House Records, which this is the first album released not exclusively on Hollywood Records. Safe House was a partnership between herself, Phil McIntyre, which is her old manager, and Nick Jonas. No one, I don't, like, it's hard to tell if this exists anymore or not.
I don't think it does. I think it was short-lived.
And it's part of Island Records. Well, I know that they signed an artist that wasn't them, which is
Mm.
silly. But Demi was very excited about having more control over their music through their own little production label. And as Jess said, like this Confident feels like a package with Demi, the same way that Here We Go Again feels like a package with Get Back. They're like
Don't forget.
with Don't Forget. They're
Mhm.
very sonically similar. It's like for these two albums, Demi had a sound. So
Mhm.
still very poppy. Guest features Iggy Azalea and Syrah. Syra? I don't know. Sirah. Album was promoted with the co-headline tour with Nick Jonas, the Future Now tour. Yes, that iconic tour that she did with Nick Jonas when he had a solo album.
Mhm.
Demi co-wrote most of the songs with writers and producers, including Max Martin. Again, big names. If you don't know, there's an entire jukebox musical on Broadway for the last year or two that's Max Martin songs. He's responsible for like
Huge.
every huge song you have ever heard that you can dance to. Ryan Tedder, also, if you don't know, one
Huge.
of the most prolific and successful songwriters of the millennial age. Steve Mag, Rami, and Stargate. Only songs that Demi did not co-write on this were Old Ways, For You, Wildfire, and Lionheart. The vibes of this one, Again, pop, dance, electro pop, power pop. But it is, I will say, where Demi is not, Demi, the self-titled album, is confident. It's in the name of the album. It is like that's the title, but it is very much like Demi found her sound and is owning it, which you can
Mhm.
hear. Like that's a note that I made about the album while listening to it, and then come to find that that's something that Demi has said herself about the album many, many times. It also like you can sonically hear the difference. At least I felt like I could that it was the first hybrid of the records, like hybrid in terms of the labels that produced it, because it didn't feel, I don't know, it didn't feel as, like, juvenile or polished as a Hollywood Records label album.
I think you can tell that there's more direct control over the choices being made on this album versus previous, and it's very obvious in the sound
Mhm.
of the album.
And it's lyrically more mature,
Yep.
which brings us into our first and lead single for this
Ah!
album, "Cool for the Summer." Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be playing for me all summer long, even as we go into a heat wave in New York, guys, whatever. Came out July 1st, 2015, and it's some music video of Demi driving around and partying with friends and being hot. Like, that's it. That's the whole video. Peaked at number 11 on the Billboard Hot 100 and went 3 times platinum. Okay. I remember this one being all over the radio. It also went to the top 10 in the UK, New Zealand, Scotland, the Czech Republic, Mexico, and Lebanon. Okay. Random. And it's the first, like, overtly sexual song, full stop, of Demi's, and also for that to be the first overtly sexual song and it has bi vibes to it
Mhm.
is very interesting. Like, it's a bi-curious anthem
Mhm.
about wanting to try something out for the summer. It was a bit criticized by the queer community for being a bi-curious anthem yet not having any same-sex partnership in the video. So I personally didn't really care that there weren't any same-sex partnerships because I felt like it was so many glamour shots of hot women that the bi-curiosity like seeped through onto my bisexual being.
Yeah. It felt like it was still showcasing, like, the beauty and how hot women can be, which
Mhm.
without there being, like, 2 women kissing or something like that, like, something as overt like that, it still felt like a showcase of how beautiful women are.
Yes, and how sexy they are.
Yeah.
Fun fact, just a personal little anecdote. I remember when this was all over the radio and we were in college and I was visiting my cousins at the time. My cousin is like older than me and she has teenage daughters at that time. And we were in the car and she was like she was all about that Disney Channel, but she was not a fan of this song because she thought it was predatory because it was all about like got a taste for the cherry and I need to take a bite. And she thought it was about trying to take someone's virginity. And she was like, Demi's too old for that. And I was like, "No, it's about being bisexual." And she was like, "No, it's about virginity."
And you're like, "Absolutely not."
Demi felt like Cool for the Summer was a distinct departure from, like, being stuck in the corner of having to talk about, like, their struggles and personal lives and could be more confident and care less about what people think. So it is a
Mhm.
power anthem for Demi. Funnily enough, it was, like, accused she was accused of copying Jessie J's Domino, which I don't hear any similarities with, and Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl, to which Demi said she thinks more than one female artist can kiss a girl and like it. So I liked that because they were like,
Mhm.
"Oh, it's like the same as I Kissed a Girl." And she's like, "Hmm, funny, we have the same experience."
Yeah. Like, we have all gone through this.
Also, surprise, surprise, Cool for the Summer, Domino, and I Kissed a Girl are all Max Martin songs, which, like I said earlier, a lot of times when these songs are accused of like copying other songs, it's because certain producers have specific sounds.
Yep.
Second single off this album is the titular track, Confident. Now, this one is a music video, baby.
Oh, it is a music when I watched this, I was like, "Why did Amanda get all the fun videos and I got just Demi with a band?" Like, what the hell?
I got a few of those as well, but yeah, I did get when you said that, I was like, I did get the theatrical ones. So
You
so
did.
for the record, I watched all of them because I was up way too late. Jess was like, "I haven't had the time to watch yours." And I was like, "Okay, there are 2 that you have to watch, 2 that you should probably watch, but you probably already know them." And so 2 of those were Confident and Cool for the Summer. Confident was an optional. Glad you watched it. It was
Mhm.
released September 18th, 2015. It has that signature, like, featuring horns, loud brass horns, and finger snaps in
Yeah.
the sound. It's different.
Mhm.
And the music video is Demi Lovato in a maximum security prison, offered a pardon if she captures Michelle Rodriguez, but then while she's doing it, realizes it was a setup by the US Marshal, and then Demi gets like imprisoned, but then she breaks out of the van and gets into the car with Michelle Rodriguez, and then they're fighting, and then they realize that they're on the same side, and they team up to get the heck out of there and then go their separate ways. Yeah, it's confusing because why would they let her out to set her up? And then anyway, I don't really understand the plot of it for that
I
reason.
liked that it had a story, though.
I did as well. And what I thought was really interesting is that Demi specifically requested, she was working on a project, I think it was a TV show at the time, with Robert Rodriguez, who is a very famous director. He is the creator of Spy Kids, which is the most impactful part of his career in my life. But he is also a co-creator of the Sin City franchise,
Mm.
as well as a lot of action films that are like similar to Spy Kids, like Machete, like the big like usually they're like Mexican Western action films that have guns and other kinds of fighting. But that's his like whole vibe, whether it's for kids or adults. And he has Troublemaker Studios, which is the studio that made Spy Kids and all of those movies. And they filmed this video at Troublemaker Studios.
Mm.
So she asked him to make a video. He heard the song and was like, that's so theatrical, and came up with this whole thing and said, we have to film it at my studio because like that's my place of work. And yeah. So there's a reason that it has a story. It's made by a very, very professional director.
This also, I think, shows to the fact that this is not just a Hollywood records, right? Big labels like that limit artists. But when they get
Mhm.
on smaller labels where they have more control, like Demi had the ability to make a request like, I want him to direct one of my music videos. And a big label probably be like, there's no return value on that. What the heck is the ROI? We're not paying for that. But when you're on a smaller label and they're like, well, this is what we can do. And Demi's like, okay, I'll eat the costs because it's important to me.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say Island is a small label.
Yeah, it's a lot smaller than Hollywood, but I would agree. It's not a small label. It's
Well,
still a
isn't
big label.
Island's part of UMG, isn't it?
Yeah, it is UMG.
Yeah.
Don't know why I thought it was smaller than that.
But Island is still UMG, but this is Safe House, so it is mostly, even though it's part of a large label, it is mostly Demi and Nick's money that is
Mm-hmm.
funding her career. I think it's also a testament to her career and the respect she's getting as an artist. Like, she went back into acting, made that connection with Robert Rodriguez, asked him to do this, and he was willing to do it.
Yeah.
Also, if you don't know, Michelle Rodriguez is a huge action
Yep.
actress star, most notably from the Fast and the Furious franchise, but lots of them. Guys, I'm sick in the head. I think it's hilarious that both of these women get branded by the US Marshal of all people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think branding's hilarious. I think it's hilarious that the US Marshal did it because
Mm-hmm.
that's like so illegal and it's the US Marshal.
But when are we doing things that are legal?
Oh, for sure. Peaked at number 21 on the Billboard Hot 100, went 4 times platinum. I once showed this music video to a bunch of elementary school girls in Korea because I was teaching them about pop music and I wanted them to feel more confident.
That's actually really sweet. I would argue you know what? It's not the most inappropriate of videos to share. I think it's fine.
Third single was Stone Cold. This is the power ballad of the anthem, released date October 9th, 2015 as a promotional single. What does that mean versus a regular single? Don't ask me or Jessica. We've gone down too many rabbit holes about this. It became an official single March 21st, 2016, and it has a music video of her singing in a tub and on a snowy mountain. So you're not the only one that got some boring music videos. Thank you. And that's my note, is I have never once thought that subtlety was Demi's strong suit. You know what? You make a song called Stone Cold and you sing it on top of a snowy mountain, which is literally a cold stone, you know?
Yeah.
But it
Yep.
was certified platinum, and I believe Sam Smith did a pretty good cover of this.
It's a good ballad.
It is. I actually really like that song. Accolades for this album. It debuted at number 2 in the US, just behind, I'm sorry, what? Pentoxy?
That is Jessica typing too fast and not rereading it. It debuted at number 2, just behind Pentatonics.
You know, I knew that it was Pentatonics. I knew, but I was like, I have to ask because it's so misspelled.
I'm very dyslexic, guys. Do not doubt my ability to spell a word so incorrectly. Like,
Yeah. I thought you were gonna say don't doubt my ability to spell a word, and I was gonna be like, only
No.
doubt it.
Yeah,
I think that's a bigger testament to Pentatonics at the time than Debbie, honestly, because
sure.
they were the
They
only album above hers.
used though.
They were at that time, briefly.
Yeah.
Acapella had a moment. Confident was certified platinum in the US. It debuted as number 1 in Canada, reached the top 10 in 15 countries. I'm not even gonna name them for time. But it was certified platinum in Norway, in the US, gold in Brazil, Denmark, Mexico, Poland, silver in the UK, etc. It was nominated for the Best Pop Vocal Album at the 59th Grammy Awards, which is Demi's first Grammy nom. Adele's 25,
Mm.
Justin Bieber's Purpose, Ariana Grande's Dangerous Woman, and Sia's This Is Acting.
Who won?
Adele.
Okay. I can accept that.
Yeah, Send My Love to Your New Lover. I kind of like...
I would have accepted that or Ariana Grande as winners.
Dangerous Woman was a pretty solid album.
It was a really good album.
No, but Purpose is the only Bieber album I've ever bought, and it's actually really, really good. It was number 15 on Rolling Stone's 20 Best Pop Albums of 2015 and number 17 on Fuse's Top 20 Pop Albums of 2015. In Demi's career, overall, Confident ushered in a new era where she got to get sexy, and she's described this as her most provocative album and has repeatedly said that she's never been more sure of herself as an artist. Like, she was touring Demi, the self-titled, and saying in the press already, I'm working on my next album because I have never been more sure of myself as an artist. And so that just like really comes across. In Demi's life in 2015, which is when this album came out, she was quoted as saying that Wilmer Valderrama loved her in a way that she didn't know how to, and that he was a huge part of her rehabilitation when it came to her substance use, which just is a footnote in the larger Demi story. Yeah, that's right, Wilmer, you're a footnote. What I am curious about is that note about how she always said that like she's more confident in who she is as an artist and stuff, is that also now she's been to rehab multiple times voluntarily and not voluntarily, and has processed more and said that as of 2022, she didn't reference confidence specifically, but said that there was a time where she was wearing leotards and stilettos to perform as this like hyper femme pop star that everyone expected her to be, and that she never felt comfortable in leotards and stilettos and all of that. And Confident is the leotard and stilettos era.
Yes.
So I can't, it's really confusing to me because it does sound like she really knows who she is, but the way that she spoke about that, it made me think that it must be about this album, that she wasn't like that she wasn't confident about Confident.
Which I think it makes sense, you know? Just with how all the albums have progressed, it makes sense that I do think this era, it's very obvious that she is finding her sound, kind of playing off of this sound of Demi, but then not having to do like all of these really like deep songs, speaking about rehab experiences, speaking about her father, all of these things, even though I do think there is a dad song in this.
The dad song.
Yeah, there is. That's when I said that, I was like, wait, there's a song.
Yep.
But, you know, this album is very fun. It's very dancey. It has different elements that I think would be very, I don't know, it really does exude confidence. It's not just titled that is what this album exudes, but it makes sense that in retrospect, she could be like, maybe in the moment she was feeling confident about it, but later was like, you know, that wasn't really me.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And I think that that's something that people struggle when looking at the larger pictures of their lives, is that you can feel really comfortable with who you are in the moment and then look back 10 years later and not recognize yourself. But in that moment, you were who you were. And I think that an experience can feel different in retrospect. And like, it's both can be true, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Getting into some of our favorite songs. You wrote down your notes before me, so I agree. Like, the ones that you liked the most: Confident, Cool for the Summer, Stone Cold, and Wildfire. All great songs.
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel about Kingdom Come? This is the Iggy Azalea feature.
Oh, I think it's probably one of the weaker points of the album.
This was a time when Demi and Iggy were close friends. I don't know if they still are, but I do remember they were close friends at a time. And Demi knew she wanted Iggy on this album.
Yeah.
And she had spoken to Iggy about being on this album, and she was like, "Cool, I'll go to the studio tonight." And Demi was like, "Don't you want to hear the song?" She's like, "No, I'm good." And said that Iggy just knew what to do, which I don't know if that's a level of professionalism one way or another.
Yeah, how do you feel about it?
I think I wrote that I liked it. I think it's like I'm mixed on it. I think there are parts I
Yeah.
think I like Demi's part, and then it sounds a lot like Black Widow, which is a Rita Ora song with Iggy
Yep.
Azalea. So, I don't know. I'm, like, on the fence.
It's fair. My big note for this is you really see so Father is on this album where
Mhm.
we noted earlier the big dad song of the album. It's Father.
Yeah.
I
There's
think
no
this
disputing which one is the dead dad song.
yes. There's a huge tonal change from
Mhm.
For a Love of a Daughter to Father, and especially knowing that she now has a better and more personal understanding of addiction and what it means to struggle with addiction. And so I think knowing that she has then written Father with these personal experiences, that really comes across lyrically. I was like, these are the same song, but they are written so differently and performed so differently. And I think a big part of that is like her personal connection to some of the experiences that her father was also struggling with.
Yeah, especially when you consider how long ago she wrote For the Love of a Daughter, since it was supposed to be on Here We Go Again.
Yeah.
And but also, I think what's so striking about Father is that, as I've mentioned and will continue to mention, there are deadbeat dad songs in every single album. But this is not the deadbeat dad song. This is the dead dad song. Demi's dad passed in 2013, as we mentioned. The self-titled album was already produced. So this is really the song commemorating that, and I think Demi's tone about their father changed after he passed. Like, I know that she's mentioned no matter what resentment you feel, like, if you're struggling about whether or not you wanna pick up a phone and call, like, call. I think maybe that she regretted not having a better relationship with him,
Hmm.
which isn't her fault, and she's the survivor of abuse, and, like, he had his own stuff. But yeah, like you said, it is very empathetic.
Yep. Which is, yeah, it's just a big shift.
I don't really have any specific iconic moments for this album. I just feel like this album is an iconic moment.
I agree.
Thank you.
I agree.
Tell Me You Love Me comes out September of 2017. This is 12 tracks. It's a runtime of 42:59. And for some reason, this is not nearly as celebrated of an album in my mind. It's another hybrid. It's released by Island Hollywood and Safe House. And it was supported with a Tell Me You Love Me world tour with openers including DJ Khaled. Yes, this is the tour where she toured with DJ Khaled. I remember them having an online friendship that was hilarious. And then we found out that he doesn't eat pussy, and we were very confused. Kehlani, Jax Jones, Joy, Iggy Azalea, and Love were all, like, various openers on this tour.
Hmm.
Like the previous albums, Demi co-wrote the majority of these songs with many of the writers and producers. Only songs that she didn't co-write were Lonely, featuring Lil Wayne, which Jess wrote as Wabe, and Tell Me You Love Me, which is interesting because that is the title track. And, I do want to give props. Like, I think, first of all, kudos for keeping the professional songwriters employed. I appreciate that Demi is not afraid to take someone else's song and make it her own.
Hmm. And this is not the only, I think most of these albums,
Mhm.
either a single or the title track is a song that was not written by her.
Yeah. For Demi to, like, have a song like Skyscraper or Tell Me You Love Me that's written by someone else and gifted to her, and to imprint so much on the song and find so much in it, I think is a real vulnerability as an artist.
Yeah.
The vibes of this album are still pop, but we're getting
Hmm.
more R&B, but this time it was written for an adult. Like, it's not really party R&B as much as it is, like, soulful
Yeah.
gospel vibes. We get, like, church choir background vocals. It's more mature. The influences were Christina Aguilera, Aretha Franklin, and Kehlani, which I'll check out.
Yep.
Lead single, Sorry Not Sorry, released July 11th, 2017. And the music video is just a house party with some friends, as you do in sober living. And it's just like people making out and Demi in a pool and, like, yeah, people partying. I know that there's probably other faces that other people would recognize, but the only face I recognized, which was a speaking voice, was of Matthew Scott Montgomery, which we haven't mentioned yet in any of these videos. But like, shout out to Matthew Scott Montgomery because he's like the weirdest human being ever, and I just love him. Sorry Not Sorry was the highest charting single in the US, peaking at number 6 on the Hot 100 and certified 7 times platinum.
Wild. I don't know if I agree that this should have highest charting single spots, but that's okay.
This was a song that was everywhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that it's an iconic show-stopping movement moment, all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a bone to pick that I hate the word savage. And I really hated that this song made it so much more popular in our common vernacular. Because savage is like think of the song Savages from Pocahontas, like that is the etymology of savage. Is
Yeah.
a wild and untamed person used as a derogatory term for native people.
Yep.
That was a downer. How do you feel about Sorry Not Sorry?
I think it's one of those songs that it's like, I know it and I like it, and anytime it comes on, like, I won't turn it off, but it's definitely not a favorite of mine as far as Demi's discography goes, just because I think it was one of those that was so overplayed that I got over it.
Yeah, I agree. The second single, though, I don't think I ever get over. And that is Tell Me You Love Me. It is our titular track. The music video was released November 14th of 2017. And to me, it's probably the most dramatic music video that she has. And that includes Confident.
It's dramatic. It's long, too. It's like a 7-minute music video.
Yeah. Had you seen it before? I felt like you must have. Like, this one stands out in my brain.
No, I think of all, I thought that I would be lacking in knowledge of Demi albums from about the Confident era through The Art of Starting Over. I was wrong. The only album that I'm actually lacking in knowledge is this album. I think it really is the only album that I kind of missed. I know the singles, but other than that, I actually didn't know a lot of the songs.
But did you know the Tell Me You Love Me video?
No, I had not seen it until today. That's where I was getting to.
So this came out in 2017, which is when I was living in Korea and I had already seen Grey's Anatomy for the first time. And that's important context as to why this music video changed my personal life. Because it is Demi and Jesse Williams of Grey's Anatomy fame, who I have now seen fully, frontally, and behind naked on a play in Broadway. And yes, I went for that reason specifically. And he is so beautiful. He's such a beautiful
He's really hot.
specimen. He's
Yeah.
so pretty. And I think it's really interesting that he's only 2 years younger than Wilmer Valderrama. And that this is an album that came out after the end of that relationship. And the video is first 2 minutes are just dialogue. He proposes to her and acting. He proposes to her and then they're fighting. They can't trust each other. They're not sure. And then the video itself with the music is the wedding. And you can't tell if they're going to go through with it or not. And then she gets left at the altar. He says he's not ready and they don't get married. But it's like Demi in a wedding dress. And this one especially is known for having the chorus. The chorus is in the video. It was directed by Mark Pellington, who also directed the Skyscraper video, which actually, I don't know. I think they have similar wholesome vibes, but this one feels like such a big production. I would have expected someone that I cared more about. And I think it's interesting that it starts out with this like Safe House and Island Records presents in the front, even though it's a Hollywood Records album still. It's the hybrid. I'm guessing Hollywood Records didn't want
Pay
to
for
budget.
production.
Budget this big ass video. And like, I think this is my personal favorite video of Demi's.
It's a good one. It's up there for sure.
The acting's really good. One of the reviews I read was like, it's hard to not believe that these two are in a relationship or in love. It peaks at number 53 on the Hot 100 and certified double platinum. And then there were 2 promotional singles that didn't get videos, You Don't Do It For Me Anymore and Sexy Dirty Love.
Sexy Dirty Love is one of those that will always stick out in my brain because it's just kind of a random song, but it's got a vibe.
I could not tell you anything about that song. I could not tell you how it sounds. I listened to it once and it's yeeted out of my brain. I know that it was compared to Justin Timberlake's album at the time that was like Sexy something. And like that's what I think. Like when I hear Sexy Dirty Love, I think it's a Justin Timberlake song.
I don't think that.
The accolades on Tell Me You Love Me debuted at number 4 on the US Billboard 200 and certified platinum, number 2 in Mexico, number 4 in Canada and Spain, UK number 5 on the albums chart, like keeps blowing up internationally. So it is a pretty well sold album. Platinum in the US and Norway. Norway, shout out. 5 million people buying up those albums. Landed at number 6 on People's 10 Best Albums of 2017 list, number 10 on Pop Sugar's Best Albums of 2017, 11
Basically
on,
just ended up
yeah,
on all of these like Billboard, Pop Sugar, Rolling Stone, all of these top albums of 2017 or Critics' Picks albums of 2017 lists.
yeah. So it was very well received, which leads us to, in her career, this is Demi's first certified platinum album in the US.
Crazy.
I kind of can't believe that it took this long and that it was this album specifically.
Yeah, you would think if it was one of the earlier albums, it would have been Confident.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Tell Me You Love Me doesn't feel like a Demi. I mean, it feels like a Demi album, but it doesn't feel like a mainstream Demi album.
I agree, because I just admitted it's the one album where my knowledge gap is.
And I knew this video, but I didn't know, like, the album. I
Yeah.
just really love Tressie Williams.
Yeah. Fair.
It's also, for Demi's career, the final album on Hollywood Records, which
Yep.
is why I made that comment about 2020, because the next album doesn't come out until 2021, about how maybe the contract was for that long.
Mm.
Also, in October of 2017, on YouTube, Demi released Simply Complicated, which was a documentary that helped support this album. All 3 of the documentaries that Demi has done, the music has been incorporated, like it's coincided with an album, and that was nominated for the Best Music Documentary. And in 2018, she won an AMA nom. She got an award. She was nominated for Favorite Social Artist, whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah. Agreed.
I found this was rampant in her awards. She was nominated for a lot of social media artist stuff. And like, don't get it twisted. She's a traditional recording artist who just has social media, which now everyone has to have.
Yeah, and I don't really place her as someone who was like crushing social media. I guess we said how like they did all these bits and things on YouTube. So she was always active and early adopter of all these platforms. But I just wouldn't, I don't know. In my brain, she's more of a traditional artist than this like social media artist.
Or even like upbringings, like they came up through a child actor route, not like Justin Bieber, who came up through YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I think they're more authentic on their socials than most artists, but I wouldn't
Agreed.
ever think of them as a social media person.
Yeah.
Within Demi's life, as I mentioned, Wilmer Valderrama and Demi broke up in 2016, and that to me feels like a big influence on this album, and especially the titular track and the music video to have the ending of a long relationship like that. Also, of this time, Demi's always done a lot of collabs and soundtrack songs, but I really feel like Demi went into their collab era where like,
So many.
yeah, especially like big hitters. So we got
Huge.
No Promises with Cheat Codes, Instruction with Jack Jones, and Acheme La Culpa with Louis Fonsi, who did Despacito the same fucking year. That won Song of the Year at the Latin American Music Awards. Those were all 2017. And then in 2018, Fall in Line with Christina Aguilera, which got a 2019 Grammys nomination for Best Pop Duo and Group Performance. And also Solo with Clean Bandit was 2018. And so that was only her second ever Grammy nomination. She's only ever gotten 2. Just like so many collabs at this time. Further in Demi's life, in June 21st, 2018, they just like very suddenly dropped a music video called Sober to reveal that after 6 years of sobriety, Demi had relapsed.
Yep.
And it's this music video of like disoriented footage throughout their life. And like, I remember as a fan when this video came out, and it felt like such a clear cry for help.
Yep.
I also was like, why are you telling us this? Like, if you feel the need to tell us this, like, you need people in your life who are going to help you.
I think that like her whole life has been her career. And so I
Mhm.
feel like to her, that was the best way to communicate what was happening. But I agree, it was this moment where everyone was like, this Like, they need to seek help now, and actual help. Like, this is getting, like, it was always serious, but it's reaching a point that's, like, scary.
Yeah.
And it gets scary.
Yeah. Just a month later. So that
Mhm.
came out June 21st of 2018, and then July 24th, literally a month later, it was all over the news. Demi was rushed to the hospital for an overdose. And this was so heavily reported that Demi was the most Googled person of 2018. And
That
CBS,
is crazy.
I know. And CBS said that this was the 29th biggest story of the year, which,
Wow.
when you consider like all of the news CBS is reporting on, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
So this led to a period of rehabilitation and retreating from the public eye. Demi kind of got more into acting in 2019 and did a little bit of that before getting back into music. It was a very, very serious overdose that and relapse that has been thoroughly detailed in Demi's 2021 documentary, Dancing with the Devil, which is on YouTube. I encourage you all to watch it. It's their most recent one. So I'm not going to go into all of those details, but it was very much a near-death experience
Yeah.
with more sexual assault trauma and other like multi-layered
Yeah.
trauma. Yeah.
I do want to take a moment to say, because Demi has spoken out about this, they were saved with Narcan. And just for anyone who's a concert goer, anyone in their life, like, there are plenty of nonprofits that train you on how to use Narcan. They'll send you free Narcan. If you are going places where you know people are going to take drugs, carry Narcan on you. It's not that hard to prevent things like this. It is available, and it's really can help save an overdose, especially right now with everything going on with the fentanyl crisis and just in general. It's a really, really important life-saving drug. Saved Demi's life, but it also could save one of your friends. So I just get trained on Narcan, carry it if you can.
Most public libraries carry it
Mm-hmm.
if you need. And also notable in her career, as Demi came out of rehab and took that pause from music, she talks about this a lot in the documentary. In 2019, she signed with Scooter Brown, who is a controversial figure in pop culture.
Yeah.
Most known for buying Big Machine and Taylor Swift re-recording all of her albums so that he can't get money from them because like he would mock her, and I guess I don't know. I do know that he's Justin Bieber's and Ariana Grande's manager as well, and Demi has said that this was very freeing for her to not rely on a manager that relied on her, essentially. Like, a lot of the way that we said that, like, Demi was working constantly and, like, putting out all these albums was because it seemed like the manager at the time, Phil McIntyre, like, needed her to be making money all the time, whereas Demi knows Scooter has these huge hitters
Yeah.
already on his roster. He doesn't care what she does. That was, like, all leading us up into the next album and also giving context for Tell Me You Love Me, but still on Tell Me You Love Me, before we get into the next album, let's get into it. Daddy Issues.
Okay, this is leading into the last album we'll talk about, but originally I was like, oh, the only song about Wilmer, or one of the like standout, very obvious ones, is 29. But then I was like, no, you are right. This album is very obvious that it's written about him,
Mhm.
and their relationship, and Daddy Issues is the prime song.
It's also my deadbeat dad song of the album,
Yep.
because it's literally called Daddy Issues.
Yep.
I don't know if I listened to the whole album, but Demi tends to put all of the tracks on her YouTube, or her team does, without like with just album artwork. So you could usually listen to the whole album for free. I listened to all of them on YouTube, all of the ones that we're talking about. And I remember listening to this song and giggling with my friend, being like, again, Demi's artistry knows no subtlety. Like, of course she's gonna put out a fucking song called Daddy Issues.
Yeah. The least subtle move that they could possibly do.
Yeah. I also want to say Ruin the Friendship is on this album, and the lore, I don't even know all of it. I didn't have time to research all of it. I just know that this album came out after the tour with Nick Jonas, and a lot of people speculate that Ruin the Friendship is about him, which is a
Mm.
song about someone wanting to maybe hook up with their friend, but it might ruin the friendship.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
But you wrote Only Forever as a sequel to Ruin the Friendship, which I don't know if you want to expand on that. They go back to back in the track listing.
I don't have anything to expand other than that's what I read.
Okay. Songs that you love?
I love, of course, Tell Me You Love Me, of course. Sorry Not Sorry, but I also enjoyed You Don't Do It For Me Anymore and Hitchhiker.
Tell Me You Love Me is one of my favorite Demi songs. I just love the way she sounds when she belts, and I love the chorus behind it. I also like Lonely. It cracks me up.
Yeah. Speaking of Lonely, at the beginning of Lonely, you get the buzzing on the beat, which is like the... is that the...
No, it's funny because you wrote, okay, so Jess wrote this note, the buzzing on a beat during Lonely, like she wrote it, and like I had to read it that way, and it's like that's something that's gonna live in our millennial brains forever, is how to go buzzing on that beat.
Yeah. And when I first heard that, I was like, what the heck? And it's DJ Mustard, who is a producer on this track, and it's his signature. Whenever he produces a track, you get that buzzing on a beat. But whenever I hear that, my brain immediately goes to Rack City by Tyga. So this song came on and I was like, what? Did my phone like skip to Tyga? Like, and then I was like, nope, this is not Tyga. This is still Demi.
I've never heard of DJ Mustard, but I have heard buzzing on a beat forever. And like you can't just say the words. You have to say it with the like.
Yeah, because it's done in such a specific way that like, yeah, it is forever ingrained in our millennial brains.
Okay, so I really like Lonely, maybe until Lil Wayne comes on. Lil Wayne's not my least favorite of her features. It's probably one of my more favorite of her features,
Yeah.
and that's not saying much about Lil Wayne, to be honest. But I prefer the Demi parts of that song. It did take me out, like it did make me laugh, because I think Demi's features date her albums.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. Like getting Lil Wayne in 2017 is is late for him, but he was having a bit of a resurgence. And then like the previous album having Iggy Azalea in 2015, having Cher Lloyd in 2013, like
Yeah.
the artists that she features really date the albums.
Yes.
There are on the deluxe versions acoustic Sorry Not Sorry and another one, but I don't remember what it was. So I don't know. Look it up, guys. But acoustic Sorry Not Sorry slapped because it had that like chorus behind it that Tell Me You Love Me had. So the chorus had a chorus.
I don't know if I listened to the acoustic version. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it.
Iconic moments related to this album. She like partnered up with a company to host like pop-up exhibitions around New York City, which by the way also Confident had like a find these boxes in New York City and it'll like lead to me releasing tracks like similarly to like the Demi trending on Twitter and stuff. But in this case, this team like you made murals around New York City showing like the album's editorial photography.
Cool.
And also in 2017, Time 100 listed Demi as one of the most influential people, and the 2019 Billboard one of the most successful artists of the 2010s. In 2019, Billboard said that Demi is one of the most successful artists of the 2010s. There were words in there that I missed the first time. Are you ready?
Guys, this one is a doozy.
This one is a doozy. So if you listen to everything I said about Tell Me You Love Me, and see if you skipped over that and now you're coming in at Dancing with the Devil because you saw the timestamps that I'm now putting in because I'm so fucking considerate, and you're like, I want to know about this album, you know what? You're going to have to listen to what was going on in her life because I put the chronology in Tell Me You Love Me. Okay? Go back and listen. There's 19 tracks to Dancing with the Devil.
19.
The Art of Starting Over.
Guys, take a deep breath. Take it in. 19 tracks.
And yet, it still only has a runtime of 57 minutes, which is not that different to the other albums.
It's the longest so far, but I agree with you. It's not that far off. Like 10
Longer
minutes.
by 10 minutes. It does not feel long. It flies by. It was released April 2nd of 2021. This is Demi's return to music post the massive overdose in 2018. And that's all it's about. As I mentioned, they released a docu-series called Dancing with the Devil, and this is the soundtrack to the docu-series. And the full album title is Dancing with the Devil, ... The Art of Starting Over. I'm probably not going to say that most of the time. Hollywood Records, no more. We are on Island Records.
Bye-bye.
Also, Safe House is probably dead. because maybe they ruined the friendship or maybe because she stopped working with Phil McIntyre. Probably both.
Yeah.
Released purely on Island Records and alongside the docuseries, as I said, which is on YouTube, which came out between March 23rd and April 6th. So this came out smack dab in the middle. And track by track, this is a soundtrack for the documentary. The album was like recorded over a period of time from when she came out of treatment until they were ready to come back to music, and it was delayed in part by the pandemic and worked with many collaborators as always. Intro has solo writing credits. I think that's funny you wrote that. You probably wrote that before you listened to the album because it is just dialogue.
It's just dialogue. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There are some songs on this album without Demi writing credits, including The Way You Don't Look at Me, which feels very personal.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes sense that Julia Michaels was a co-writer on that because gives Julia Michaels. Met Him Last Night, which is an Ariana Grande feature, and Ariana Grande helped write it. Carefully and Easy. Oh, and Butterfly. Oh, and Mad World. There's a Mad World cover in here. The features on this album are Noah Cyrus, Ariana Grande, and Saweetie. I mean, Saweetie, I think, dates it, but I don't think the other two do.
Yeah, I don't think so because they both still have great careers. And Noah's like still on the climb, I feel.
Yeah. I think she hit her first little peak, but she has a bigger one to come.
Yeah, I agree.
The vibes of this one are pop. We get the big ballads again. We get a lot of dancey pop. More than anything, this feels like the album that Demi had to make before she could move on to the music that she wanted to make. Once we get past those big albums, it is kind of like dancing through the trauma. More than like, this is an album that tells a story more than any other Demi album.
Yeah, and I know that originally it was just going to be titled The Art of Starting Over, but once they added those ballads up top that were a little more heavy, they decided to title it Dancing with the Devil, ... The Art of Starting Over, because they thought that that was a more cohesive title to reflect the tracks to come.
And it makes sense. The lead single, which doesn't actually have a music video, was Anyone. One of the very first, I think it is the first song on this album.
Yeah.
And it was the first performance that Demi had as a return to music. They performed it at the 62nd Annual Grammy Awards on January 26th of 2020. It's just a pure, beautiful cry for help.
Mm-hmm. It is so beautifully written and beautifully sung. It is, yeah, it is just a beautiful song.
Mm-hmm. The second single is What Other People Say with Sam Fisher. It was released on February 4th of 2021. And the music video is they're riding a subway and there's bisexual lighting.
Love it.
I don't think there's intentional bisexual lighting, but there is, so I noted it. This is also a single from Fisher's debut album, I Love You, Please Don't Hate Me, which is a funny title.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that it's a single for both of their albums, but like, it's one of the last songs I would have chosen to be a single for this album.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are other songs that were not included as a single that could have been, that are a better representation of the album.
Yeah, and I'm going to get into that more later. The third single is Dancing with the Devil, which was released March 26, 2021, and the music video is a detailed recreation of Demi's overdose in 2018, down to wearing the same green jacket that she wore that night.
And she has director credits on the music video as well.
It details the overdose, the sexual assault, nearly dying, waking up in the hospital, seeing her family, and staying there. Some critics have said that this song gives Bond movie vibes, and I agree. I hear it. Like, it sounds kind of like Skyfall.
Oh, the song.
Yeah, that the song gives like Bond movie theme vibes.
Yeah, I agree.
The big chorus, the dancing with the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I made you watch this one. This was one I said was important. How did you feel? You said I got the fun music videos.
I meant fun by like they told a story, not fun like haha.
I know.
I had seen it before. It is a hard video to watch because her makeup is a mess. The way that she is portraying her emotions so clearly on her face really shows what they were going through. It's hard to describe like the feeling you get when watching it, other than like you can really, really, really feel what it was like to be Demi.
I was surprised to learn that the jacket was the same as that night. Like, I don't personally find it that hard to watch because I think that it's shot in a way that is still digestible
Mhm.
in that, it is polished enough to look like a music video.
Yep.
But I can't imagine like, when I watch it, I feel more empathetic than anything. I can't imagine how hard it was to relive that.
Yeah.
And I do think it's such a testament, like, this album versus Unbroken, of this time, Demi had the peace of mind to, like, take a step away, take years away from music, process everything, and then come back and tell that story.
Yes, do it on their timeline, which is what they needed the first time around.
Our 4th single from this album is "Met Him Last Night" with Ariana Grande. It also did not get a music video, and it was released on April 13th, 2021. What did get a music video but was not a single is "Melon Cake."
Mm.
It was released on Demi's 29th birthday on August 20th, 2021 as a celebration of no more melon cakes on our birthdays, baby. I think it's safe to say we have firmly left Demi's mainstream era.
Mhm.
So, our accolades for this album, and no, I didn't mention any of those songs going platinum or charting because none of them did.
Nope.
They went gold, and this album did debut at number 2 on the Billboard 200, which I think is probably due to the documentary. Number 2 in the UK, where it was the highest charting album in the UK and Scotland of Demi's, I believe. Number 3 in Portugal. Like, it went big abroad, and it was nominated by the Glad Media for Outstanding Music Artist category, but was not going big platinum, was not getting a bunch of radio hits. But in her career, like we said, it's her return to music post-overdose. She's got new management, a stronger sense of, like, herself. She's left Hollywood Records. Anyone was originally recorded 4 days before their overdose, which I felt was important to note.
Oh my god, that makes that song even more like a cry for help.
Yeah. It was originally
Oh,
recorded 4 days before their overdose, and it was the song they chose to come back to the scene with.
oh my gosh.
Mhm. And I think it just really marks an even greater level of transparency about Demi's life, and to me, less care about the public eye.
Yeah. And I think you highlighted that in saying that this felt like an album that they made for them. And
Mhm.
I think this is when beautiful art happens because this album is a beautiful piece of art.
Yes. To me, this album and the next album are the 2 that I listened to and said, "Demi made this for Demi."
Mhm.
This one, Demi made because they had to make it, and then the next one they made because they
They
wanted to make
wanted
it.
to. Yeah.
Yeah. What was going on in Demi's life that impacted some of the tracks on this album? Because let me tell you,
Oh.
baby, this is an autobiographical one, okay? We went into the overdose, right? We go through the overdose. I get it, I get it. Those ones, fine. Also, in early 2020, Demi was quarantined with Max Eric, who is an actor most notable for dating Demi Lovato, and they got engaged in July of 2020 after 4 months of dating, and then in September called it off, which is the direct influence of one of the songs. In July 2020, she officially came out as queer in a statement regarding Naya Rivera's passing, which is also why the Glee performance was notable. March 2021, Demi came out as pansexual and sexually fluid and said at the time that she's just too queer to date men, which, like, same.
Also, like, Demi, your then continued dating history begs to back up that statement, but that's okay. We
I know,
can
I know.
we can
But
forgive you for that.
she did say at the time.
That's true, that's true.
And then in May of 2021, they came out as non-binary, and in April of 2022 said that includes she, her, and back to being feminine. I also just have to say, in March of 2020, she released I Love Me, and it's a single that is not from any album. And to me, it is one of her best songs and videos, and I feel like it deserves better.
I agree. It is one of my favorites, and I thought it was on this album, and I had to go back and listen to it and double check because I was like, wait, I Love Me is not on any of
Nope.
their albums. It deserved better. That song deserved to chart, deserved like so much more.
Thank you. I think that yes, fully agree with you. Also, I don't know any other artist that has so many, like, singles that aren't on albums or EPs, but Demi has multiple.
I appreciate that though, because there is a level of like artistry to own that
Mm.
maybe this song that I made doesn't belong on a piece of work. And so I'm just going to let it live on its own. I don't need to force it to be included in something.
Yeah, and to not kill it just to create a cohesive project. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I did think it was funny. I was either Miley or Demi. I don't remember which, but one of them was doing like IG live series during the pandemic. You know, everyone was doing stuff during the pandemic, talking to people online for everyone else to watch. And they had a conversation where Miley was like, "How did Noah get on one of your albums before me?" And they were also joking about how both of them are like now very gay.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I love that.
In the documentary that came out alongside this album, this is when Demi disclosed that she does not have bipolar disorder. One doctor at the first treatment facility that they went to when they were 18 said that they probably had bipolar disorder, but they, like numerous other doctors disagreed with that. And now it's been revised to ADHD, but mostly it was just like addiction and things that Demi had to get control of.
Yeah. And being a teenager.
Yeah, she's like, as an 18-year-old, I wanted to believe that there was a chemical reason. And there kinda was, but, like, I wanted to believe in having bipolar disorder, but really I just needed to, like, own my shit.
Yeah.
To me, Dancing with the Devil and Holy Fuck have the strongest sounds that she just, like, really doesn't care about public opinion or charts anymore, and that also
Yeah.
really shows by the fact that she stopped charting.
Yeah. Also, it's like she made her money. She has the money. It's not like that's something that is necessarily needed. And they almost died. So it's like, I'm going to do shit for me and I'm not really going to care. And my fans who like know me are going to stick by it and enjoy it. And if it's not for anyone else, then that's fine.
Yeah, and I think in the collab era that I mentioned with Tell Me You Love Me and Confident, what I think Demi's done really well with their career. First of all, I love that they're in like all genres in the collabs. There was so many different artists. But
Yeah.
also I think they've really mastered this art of having really strong top 40 collabs. So they're in the
Yes.
radio and they're staying relevant no matter
Yes.
what, but then her albums are for her and
Yeah.
her artistry, regardless of radio play.
Yep.
I think she's like writing this really interesting balance right now of being both a mainstream pop artist and like kind of niche.
Getting into some of our favorite songs in lyrics, I enjoyed honestly like a lot of this album, but I called out Anyone, Dancing with the Devil, The Artist Starting Over, The Kind of Lover I Am, My Girlfriends Are My Boyfriends, which is a bop, and California Sober.
This is my favorite Demi album. So I love all of them except for My Girlfriends Are My Boyfriends.
What? How do you not like it? I love it.
It gives Unbroken to me.
Okay.
It gives
Okay.
like I could see like 17-year-old Demi recording that song. It just like, but like I don't hate it, but I don't like it. It's kind of
Mm.
cringe to me.
It is cringe, but in a way that I enjoy.
Valid. The Art of Starting Over though is like probably, it's definitely top 5. It is the song that I love the most on this album because I can dance to it and I can know exactly where Demi's coming from singing it, but I can also like feel when I'm picking myself up and like it's just so good. And it has that great line in it that you wrote down.
Yeah, it has the line, "Thank God I got me to hold me."
Mhm.
And I just think this line it's very similar to her. It makes sense with like other songs that she has done, especially about her struggles, but it also feels like her finally owning that like she has a huge play in like her healing and her journey.
Yeah, and that, it's like that cliche of it's not how many times you fall, but how many times you pick yourself back up.
Yes.
And it's kind of acknowledging that, like, yeah, I'm starting over again. Good thing
Yep.
I'm good at this. Like,
Yeah.
and that's something I think we all feel in different ways. Like, we're not all recovering addicts, but a lot of us have mental health issues or just have off weeks, And it's like, there are times when you just need to like pick yourself back up. And to me, this song is like that anthem and it feels like a
Yeah.
warm.
Yeah. It's a good one. The Kind of Lover I Am, I feel like is another good like bisexual bop, but it's not as good as Cool for the Summer.
Oh, I like it more
Oh, I disagree.
because it's more explicitly gay. And I also
It
love the
is.
outro. It's really funny to me. because the whole song is about how she's a really good lover, and then at the end she speaks and she's like, "But not right now. I'm good." Like, she's
Yeah.
like, "I don't need anyone right now. I'm good."
Yeah.
I also really like Melon Cake. It has, like, early Gaga vibes for me,
Yeah.
the tonal quality to it, and also just being again, subtlety is not okay, so, like, in our Young Royals content ages ago, I made a comment that Simon has, like, Demi Lovato level subtlety in his lyrics,
Yeah.
and, like, that plays in my mind constantly while we record this and while I listen to her music because I have never said a statement more accurate than that because,
So true.
like, he says exactly what he means and, like, she says exactly what she means, and I actually think that this album has some of her best lyrics. I think this one and her next one have her best lyrics. I think
Mhm.
she's getting better, but not subtle.
Yeah. Agreed.
I also really like the line in Lonely People. I like Lonely People a lot. I really like the line Romeo and Juliet are dead
Mhm.
because it's all about how we're all lonely people and like Romeo and Juliet doesn't have a sequel, yo, because they're dead.
They're dead.
I just
Yeah.
think it's like one of those good like lines that cuts at you.
Yeah.
You didn't love 15 minutes. I did because it's a diss song.
It gave me weird Unbroken vibes. I felt like this album was her most cohesive album yet, and then this song just really like took me out of it. I was like, yeah, and then I was like, whoa, what's happening? Like I felt like it pulled me out of the experience that this album was.
That's Girlfriends Are My Boyfriends for me.
I didn't feel that way. I loved it.
To me, 15 minutes fits in because it's like it fits with the Sam Fisher song. Yeah,
Yeah.
what other people say.
Okay.
I also didn't need the Mad World cover. I never need a cover unless you're gonna do something incredible, and generally, I would rather just have, like, an album of covers or something, like, Mad World is just, like, such a like, I don't know. I don't know why they included it. I coulda looked it up, but I didn't.
I stand by that statement. I also, unless your cover is better than the original,
Mhm,
I don't need to hear it. Perform it live to bring in an audience, but I don't
mhm.
need to hear it on an album recorded. Give me an original. I would rather have that unless your cover is so badass.
And there was a time in, like, 2007 when every pop star had at least one cover on their album.
That's true.
But we're 15 years in the future when this album comes out, so there's no excuse anymore.
Yeah.
And unless you like, if you're going to do it different. This is just a dead ass cover. It's the
Yeah.
same. I do have to say, this is my album. Like, the first thing I wrote down when I got to it was, "This is my album, let's go!" Like, but that said, the singles were the wrong choices. Like, I have such a beef, okay? And I looked this up because I wanted to know, why did this album flop? Like, to me, this is her best album. This is like, I love this album. In part, I think Holy Fvck came out too soon after, and I think her sound switched a lot. Also, I think switching to Scooter Braun was good for their mental health, but maybe not their career because it doesn't seem like he's really like doing much to promote their music.
Yeah.
Other people said that the Froyo debacle is the reason that this album flopped because the general public stopped having sympathy for Demi Lovato, which I thought was really funny because I didn't even remember that that happened, and I
Oh,
wrote it in
I
iconic moments.
remember. I remember that
Um,
happened.
but back to, I think the biggest reason that this album flopped is because of the singles choices. I think The Art of Starting Over should have been a single. I mean, Melon Cake could have been a single. Girlfriends Are My Boyfriends could have been a single.
With a bomb ass video.
All of these songs could have been singles with great videos. The Kind of Lover I Am, like all of them.
Yep.
The ones that they chose are not very representative of the album, and the ones that they gave music videos to, like, aside from like Dancing with the Devil's a great music video. The Sam Fisher one, like,
Yeah.
I also want to point out that California Sober is like one of the final tracks, if not the final track. No, not the final. One of the, though, on this album. And Demi is no longer California Sober. She is just
Yeah.
sober.
Yep.
I also really liked it in the documentary. Everyone else that speaks on that is like, that's not a fucking thing, but whatever. As long as she's not doing hard drugs.
It is a thing here though. Like
No, I know, but it was like literally only her life coach was okay with it. Like, Elton John is sober as well, and he was like, in my experience, that doesn't work. And
Yeah.
then Demi voluntarily went to rehab and was like, yeah, that didn't work. I respect the first 3 songs a lot. I skip them a lot though. Like, when I want to listen to this album, I'm like, I don't really want to start with anyone and Dancing with the Devil. Also, in the way that I am the worst person, ICU, since this album came out and to this day has always cracked me up because, again, Demi is the least subtle songwriter ever, and she uses ICU, like, because she was in the ICU.
Mhm.
seeing when she woke up from her overdose, her younger sister, and she's saying, "I see you."
Mhm.
And I just think that
It's also in reference to the fact that when she woke up from her overdose, she was partially blind, so she actually could not see her sister.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And now they have permanent blind spots from this overdose.
Mhm.
Like, it was that bad. There were multiple strokes. Anyway, it just makes me laugh because I'm a terrible person.
So mean.
Is it not kind of funny, though?
No.
It's so
No.
on the nose to conflate those 2.
Okay, it is, but it's not funny. It's not funny.
I was blind, but now I see. I see you. There's nothing that's been more explicitly like, I I'm sorry. That's just iconic moments. Aside from the whole thing, the Froyo debacle.
Yeah.
In 2021, she went to a frozen yogurt place. Maybe 20. I know in 2021, she went to a
Yeah.
frozen yogurt place and was like, "Guys, all of these diet sugar-free ones are labeled in a way that's supposed to promote diet culture and make me feel bad about getting my delicious sugary frozen treat." And people got really upset with her for like taking down a business during the pandemic or something, and they were like, "We just like have stuff for diabetics and celiacs and like lots of different options." And she was like, "Okay, but you listed them as like guilt free, and why should I have guilt about my sugary stuff?" And I really have no opinions about this. I just thought it was really funny that people cared so much.
I see both sides. Like, I agree with her, but
Hmm.
also I agree that, like, yeah, if a shop wants to have like gluten-free and sugar-free offerings and things like that because people have dietary restrictions, they also should offer things for people who have dietary restrictions.
I get the point of like the wording though, of calling it like guilt free. If they did that, then like, yeah, that's messed up. This wasn't really iconic to Demi's career, but notable to me when I was reading their Wikipedia page in 2021. They launched their own vibrator with Bellesa called the Demi Wand. And I just think that that's such a slay to have your own vibrator.
Yeah. It feels like if you are at the point of stardom where you can just decide what collabs you want to do, that's a fun thing to get to do.
Yes. I'm so sorry I'm a terrible person, but please, Jessica, tell me about Demi's most recent studio album.
The most recent album is Holy Fvck, spelled Fvck. It came out in August of 2022. It has 16 tracks and a like 48-minute rough time. It was also released through Island, and it was inspired by Dead Sarah's album Ain't It Tragic, and it was dedicated to her want to like get back to her roots and sing a rock album. I would argue that Don't Forget and Here We Go Again are not rock albums, and this is definitely way closer to a rock album than either of those ever got, but I see the want. All songs were written by Demi, Warren Oakfelder, Alex Niceforo, and Keith Sorrells. And then additional writers were included on some of the songs too, but all 4 of them have writing credits on every single song.
Including her now fiance. He wrote on some of those tracks.
Yes, and I have noted them where they're singles, so
Hmm.
we will touch on that. But yes, Jutes did write on some of the tracks. The vibes, I still say pop punk, but definitely like more punk leaning on some of the tracks specifically. And Demi quoted that Royal and the Serpent and Turnstile were additional inspirations besides her Dead Sarah on this
There's like
album.
screaming. There's screaming on some of these tracks. Like, it's pretty rock. Jump Your
Amanda.
Bones? The like,
Okay.
jump your bones. Da, 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 da. Like, it goes harder than anything I would normally choose to listen to.
Okay. Let's. Sure.
I know.
For someone who listens to music with screaming, I would not classify this as screamy, but there are screams, so I'll
Yes.
take it. The lead single from this album is Skin of My Teeth, and it was released on June 10th of 2022. It peaked at number 13 on the Hot Rock and Alternatives chart, and the title of the song was inspired by news articles that came out after her overdose, because a lot of people said she made it through by the skin of her teeth. And the song is really a dedication to like, I don't need you tracking my journey. I don't need you keeping an eye on me. Like, what I needed was compassion and understanding from others, and I have not received that. Like, I don't need you to watch me go through this and write about it in articles. The music video is like a whole symbolism of Demi taking down those who are constantly scrutinizing her. So it's her in a bathtub, and then someone coming in with a camcorder recording every move, and then her kind of fighting back against that. But I do have to say, the mullet feels very iconic to me in like Demi's like post breakup from the first engagement looks.
I think it's interesting because, like we mentioned, Don't Forget and Here We Go Again are the same. Demi and Confident are the same. And then we get The Art of Starting Over and Holy Fvck back to back, 2021 and 2022, and they could not be sonically or visually more different. And like that mullet is very symbolic of that to me. Like Demi's entered a new era.
Yeah, yes. I completely agree. It is, and it's representative of entering a new era. I also, the only thing where these two albums are comparable to me is I personally would argue they are the only two albums of her that I would classify as fully cohesive albums.
Yes. And that sound like Demi. Like for some reason,
Yeah.
even though they're so different, they sound the most like Demi ever.
Yeah, totally. The other thing I have to shout out from this music video, which is really unimportant. It's so unimportant. However, Demi has a Pete Wentz fireworks guitar in this video, and I appreciated it.
Speaking of Pete Wentz, just like genre-wise, I would say this album goes as hard, if not harder than, I think harder than any Fall Out Boy album.
Oh, we are not having this discussion right now. Absolutely not. Pete Wentz is an actual screamer. Substance was the next single that was released. It was released on July 15th of 2022. One of the additional co-writers on this track is Jutes, which Amanda mentioned is her now fiance. It peaked at number 24 on the Hot Alternative Songs and number 34 in New Zealand's Hot Singles. The music video has a cameo of Paris Hilton and Demetria Cherry, which is like a well-known Lovato impersonator.
Makes sense with that name.
The video is all different moments of her showcasing times that she's looking for substance, and just being surrounded by like nothingness. It kind of gives me La La Land in that way,
I was just gonna say,
different.
Is this the grown-up La La Land?
It is the grown-up La La Land. Some of my favorite moments is in the beginning. She like busts in and stands on the table of this like record label executives. So it's a room full of record label executives, and she goes in, she has a sledgehammer, and she's like, slashing all of the like records on the wall. It's very badass. But also there's a small moment in the video where this woman is cracking eggs and then pulls the pan to show the like cracked egg with the yolk all like messed up in the pan to Demi and goes, "This is your burying on drugs." And it just made me laugh because like obviously everything Demi has been through to then include this in a video, but also like that is what was told to us as children.
That's funny.
Also, this video somehow looks like it was filmed in 2009. Like, you know how you often say things sound like they were filmed underwater, or sound like they were recorded underwater?
Yeah.
That's the feeling I got with the look of this. Like, it just felt like it was filmed forever ago. It was like kind of blurry and like weird. I was like, I don't know what's going on in this video.
I watched these music videos like a few hours ago, and I already don't remember them at all, aside from the mullet and like the bathtub.
Fair. Final single off Holy Fvck is 29. It was released on August 17th, 2022. It won Best Rock Alternative Song at the 2023 Gold Derby Music Awards. What that is, I don't know. It debuted number 96 on the Hot 100, and it was the only song from Holy Fvck to chart on the Hot 100 charts at all.
And there's a reason for that.
Yeah, there is. It was also number 10 on Hot Rock and Alternative Songs and number 14 in New Zealand on their Hot Singles chart. There is no official video. There is an official lyric video, an official live performance that were released with this track, but not a true official video. It also created a viral TikTok trend, encouraging people to share their own stories about grooming in large age gap relationships, because this song is about the one and only Wilmer Valderrama that we have been mentioning throughout these episodes.
Who, brief tangent side note, let's just point out the fact that, hi, Wilmer, if you're watching, you are a groomer, and it wasn't just Demi. If you don't know, he did the same with Lindsay Lohan before Demi, around the same like ages and stuff. And then now he is married with a child, and his wife is like younger than Demi, legal and all of that. But yeah, like he has a history of this. And I know Demi said that like that relationship felt like a choice to them, to her at the time. And
Yeah.
then this song was written about turning 29 and like looking back at that relationship and being like, wait a second.
There's literally a lyric where they say, like, now I'm 29 and I would never think of 17. Like, I wouldn't even
that is the
think
chorus.
of that. Yeah.
The chorus is finally 29, 17 would never cross my mind.
My mind. Yeah.
Which is why I also say they allegedly started dating when she was 18.
Yes. Yes. It also is not confirmed to be about Wilmer. I wanted to say that they have been asked numerous times in different interviews, and they have never confirmed what relationship it was about. But we can all rightfully assume that it's about him.
They haven't been a teenager long enough to have that experience twice.
Also, it was a 6-year relationship. It was a bulk of time. Accolades for Holy Fvck. It debuted number 7 on the top 200 in the US and in the UK. Number 1 on top alternative albums and top rock charts. And it peaked at number 6 in Portugal and Scotland. It got various like top 20 best Pride albums, 80 best albums of the year, 50 best albums of the year. So all of these best album lists, it landed on quite a few of them. And they were nominated as the Outstanding Music Artist at the GLAAD Media Awards as well.
I'm impressed that it did so well because it's such a departure for Demi.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you're classifying as well. Because if we think Dancing with the Devil debuted at number 2, which this debuted at number 7. So if we're just looking at top 200, it didn't do as well. But as we said, they made this album for them because they wanted to. And the fact that it ended up number 1 on the rock charts really shows that like Demi had a vision. I want to go back to the roots. I liked that. That was fun. I want to have fun again. And it shows with where it charted.
Also, Dancing with the Devil had an entire documentary attached to it.
Yeah, way more promotion, I would argue.
Yes.
The album's kind of significance, we've been touching on it, but really it's that shift back to the pop rock, pop punk, pop rock sound that was on Don't Forget, and Here We Go Again. With this, which Amanda noted, that like she just doesn't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, I think also like the way that I said that she had to make Dancing with the Devil, but she wanted to make Holy Fvck. She had to make Dancing with the Devil for her and also for the public to like, everyone's expecting the story and they wanted to control the narrative. But Holy Fvck was like, now I really don't care. Like, I don't care about what you think of me. I don't care about charting. Like, I just want to make a rock album. I just want to have fun.
Yeah.
And like the features on it are also, they don't date the album the way that the previous ones did.
I wonder if we would say the same thing in like 10 years.
Yeah, true. I heard it as I said it.
Yeah, because I didn't list them all out, but some of the features on this album are Royal and the Serpent, Youngblood, Dead Sarah. This album was really about like owning her anger, and it has a lot of religious undertones in the lyrics. And interviews and stuff. Demi has opened up that like this album resulted in them processing a lot of anger from like growing up in the church and being queer and non-binary and that experience, and it really comes out in the lyrics. And I do have to say, like, this is not a metal album, but from her being this like young girl who loved metal music, lyrically in this album, you see that she loves metal music. It has so many themes that are also in metal music, and lyrically, you can just tell it's really rooted in a lot of the tones that metal music is.
Yeah, lyrically, I think this is her best album.
Yeah.
I think it's her best work, full stop. I think both this one and Dancing with the Devil are very strong, but I think Dancing with the Devil is like so blatant. And I
Yeah.
think this genre, this style really allowed Demi to like tap into a true lyricism with
Yeah.
like more of those double entendres and more of those like the rhymes and just it sounds better somehow. Like you still know what she's talking about. It's still not subtle, but it just feels more lyrical, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. She supported Holy Fvck by going on the Holy Fvck tour, as well as having Dead Sarah and Royal and the Serpent as opening acts, which I think is really cool when you bring out the people that you have collabs with so you can sing those songs the way they're intended live. I thought this was funny to note that the posters supporting the tour were banned in the UK because it was likely to cause serious offense to Christians. I was like, really? We're that fucking sensitive?
It was like the religious imagery plus the word fuck. It was
Mhm.
like you can only use it in tasteful ways or something. It was like not explicitly banned, but like kids can't see it or something. But yeah, I read that. It was funny.
Yeah. Also, this time is when she met Jutes. Well, she met Jutes in 2022, but that they got together and
Mhm.
then they are now engaged. March of 23, Demi released the single Still Alive for Scream 6. And it was nominated for MTV's Movie and TV Award for Best Song. And then in June of 2023, they released Swine as a protest song just a few days before the 1-year anniversary of the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Getting into some of our favorite songs. I like this album a lot. I
Mhm.
enjoyed Freak, Skin of My Teeth, Happy Ending, Help Me, and Forever for Me, but I really actually liked the whole album.
I do too. I didn't expect to like it as much as I do. I bought it more to support her and because I was like curious as to what Demi's like rock venture was gonna sound like. But I will say this is one that I've listened to a lot. I know it quite well, and there aren't any songs that stand out to me as being particularly hard to listen to. There's some that like make me giggle, but I don't dislike any of them, and I think it sonically is so good.
Yeah. Some lyrics I want to call out in Freak. There's this whole, I guess you would say, bridge
Mhm.
where she's repeating, came from the trauma, stayed for the drama. I would have loved for that to be screamed. The entire part would have been epic. She goes, came from the trauma, stayed for the drama. I am what I am, and what I am is a piece of meat. And I just
Mhm.
like, I don't know. There's a lot of just like good lyrics in this that show that this album is like the growth in her as a
Mhm.
songwriter and her as an artist.
Yeah. I also like not super important, but I know from that documentary that Demi moved into a new house in 2020 and has a home studio. And I don't know if they had a home studio before, but like it seems like the way of making music is much more just like vibey at home. Like, and I think that probably lends itself to some of these really good lyrics and sounds that we're getting.
Yeah, there's a couple lyrics we both called out from Skin of My Teeth. The one I called out was God damn it, I just want to be free, but I can't because it's a fucking disease.
I wrote Demi leaves rehab again because it's the first line of this song is Demi leaves rehab again.
Yeah.
When is this shit gonna end? I like that whole song. I think that that line like punches you. Again, not subtle, but used effectively.
Yep.
I also like in Happy Ending, I tried to be your hero. I lent you my voice, which to me feels like she's speaking directly to the fans
Hmm.
because it's all about how when is she going to find her happy ending and all of that, and she's going through her life kind of, and that's one of the struggles, and how she felt like she had to speak up but also felt like she was letting people down when she relapsed.
I wrote that song feels very similar to California Sober, Shimi.
hmm to me it doesn't, but I get why you could say that. It
Yeah.
feels more cinematic. It does
Mm.
to me feel like it should be the end of the album.
Oh, I agree.
Like I don't really understand why it's in the dead middle.
Yeah, it does feel like an album end.
I also like Dead Friends.
Mhm.
It's another not subtle, but I like it. You didn't
Yeah.
list it in yours, so I had to.
The one thing I want to talk about, this album is very sexy.
Can we talk about the horny third?
Yes.
Because so Heaven is the dead middle. And then after that, you get hit with 4 horny songs in a row. And
Hmm.
I was like, is the whole second half just horny? Because then that makes sense. But then you get hit with Dead Friends, and I was like, oh, okay, that's decidedly not horny. So
Yeah.
yeah, like you get Heaven starting us off strong, which is giving Catholic guilt.
Yep.
And it's about masturbation, guys. Literally, with her 2 little fingers. And then City of Angels is about fucking over all over LA. Bones is literally I want to jump your bones.
Yeah. Come Together is on another level of
No,
horny.
it's so funny because it's like a ballad.
It's a ballad.
I
Yeah.
was I was listening to it and I was like, okay, maybe this one's not horny. Maybe this one's just a love song.
No.
And then halfway through, I was like, oh no, this is about sex.
It's about sex. It's so horny. Also not included on your list, but Holy Fvck is pretty horny too. My big thing in listening to these last 2 albums, I do agree with Amanda. I don't know if I'll ever say they're my favorites just because I have so much nostalgia connected to Don't Forget and Here We Go Again. But they are her best albums, and it's a collection of really, really great work. Her voice has changed a lot. And I really enjoy it.
For me, I think I hear it the most in Tell Me You Love Me as the start, but the album isn't as strong. But
Yeah.
I think she's learning how to use her voice
Yeah.
in ways that are very complimentary, and it's matured a lot. Yeah, I agree. It sounds really good. And she has this voice that like somehow works well for pop, but also works for this rock music.
Yeah, it's really versatile.
I also like the production on this album. Like, I love the haunting tones in the chorus of 29 and the progression and happy ending. And I just like, yeah, I think it's well made. In addition to the lyrics, like we shouted out so many times, I think the whole thing is well produced. I am on the fence about Forever for Me being the final track. Like, I get it, you're in love, but like, happy ending made more sense.
I still like Forever for Me, but yeah, I agree happy ending feels like a more suited fit for the last song.
For her life, it makes less sense because you would write happy ending before you would write Forever for Me, because like Jutes was a co-writer on happy ending, I believe, and like they were just friends at that point, and then Forever for Me is clearly like about him and how they're like in love now, and like that is her happy ending, but like that's not really a happy ending, baby.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the only iconic moment of Big No is that in January of 2022, she held a funeral for her pop music.
Yeah, on Instagram. Yeah.
They are just so dramatic that I can't not love them. Like, they can do things that piss people off, like the Froyo controversy and stuff like that, but I will always love them because of how just, like, dramatic and committed to being themselves that they are.
Same. I also think that like so many people in the public eye, whether they're social media stars or traditional celebrities, after 5 to 10 years, sometimes only a couple years, learn to separate their personal private lives from the content that they produce, because they find that it's an unhealthy relationship when they create so much content about their personal lives. But traditional artistry is about that.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of artists like Taylor Swift who do it in a way that like she's very private online, but then she leaves so many clues in her music that people know what she's talking about. And like that's a smart way to do it. Demi has been forced to be public because of her rehab stints, pulled back away a bit during the Demi and Confident era, but like has still been so I think she just like can't not be herself. Like she's sharing online. Like when she got engaged in 4 months, she wasn't like nervous to share that relationship so soon. And like has always just been like so very much herself, and then also was like, here it is in my music too. Like there's no question who 29 is about, because we all fucking know.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny.
Getting into final album, this is Revamped. We're gonna breeze through this one because it is just a remix album. Oh, Dead Dad.
I don't
Sorry, we forgot.
Actually, I don't have a Dead Dad song for Holy Fvck. I'm so sorry. I interrupted you because I forgot to do my Dead Dad song for Dancing with the Devil.
Okay, so we still were on the same page that it's Dead Dad time.
Yeah. Deadbeat Dad's time. For Dancing with the Devil, we have a few. Well, 2. What other people say. Never thought I'd grow up to do the same old. I think it's drugs or something that the ones that gave me my last name. It's like in there. But also Butterfly, even though she didn't write it, is a song that she has used in tributes to her father, like the lyrics about passing on and becoming something else more beautiful. Anyway, I don't have a deadbeat dad song from Holy Fuck unless you can name one. I couldn't think of one. And
No, it's too
I
horny.
love that for Demi though. Like
Yeah, me too.
growth. Move on.
Move on. Yeah, I
Okay,
like it.
sorry. Into
Okay.
Revamped.
Revamped came out last year in September of 2023. There are 10 tracks. It runs about 36 minutes. It was released through Island Records and produced by Warren Oak Felder, Alice Niceforo, and Keith Sorellis. You'll recognize some of those names from the previous album. It peaked number 8 on Billboard's top alternative albums, number 10 on top rock albums, and then number 14 in Scotland and number 20 in Belgium. The tracks in order, and these are all just rock versions of her old songs. So Heart Attack, Confident, Sorry Not Sorry featuring Slash, which is fucking wild to me that they got Slash to be on one of their tracks. Insane. Coal for the Summer, Neon Lights with the main, Skyscraper, La La Land featuring Nita Strauss, Give Your Heart a Break with Burt McCracken. He is like the lead singer of The Used. And Don't Forget.
Banger after banger. And it's a great way for an artist to pay homage to the fans' favorites while also revamping them in a way that they now want to perform to fit their current style.
And it gives like new life to these songs too.
How was it? I haven't listened to it. Is it about the same as Holy Fuck, or does it go harder at all? Or
I would say comparable to Holy Fuck. I wish it was rockier, but that is me.
In addition to like a million fucking other things, Demi has a lot of features on other people's songs. So we thought just like of the songs, we would each pick our few favorites.
Yeah. Mine, 3, 2, 1, I put as Fuck It, I Miss You with Winnetka Bowling League and Demi Lovato. I love that song. It came out a couple years ago. Winnetka is Matthew Coma, who's married to Hilary Duff. Yeah. It's very vibey. Then I put Solo by Clean Bandit because hello. And then
that's a good song.
Number 1, Instruction with Jax Jones, Demi, and Stefflon Don. I don't know why in my brain I didn't realize that was Demi. Like I knew, but I also didn't know. That song is a bop. I want to shake my ass to it right now. I have been like literally putting like hours and hours and hours into this, and I listened to that song yesterday and I was like, oh my god, I fucking love it. I love her. I love it. This is amazing.
Yeah, those collabs of that era were so good.
So good.
And such vibes.
Such vibes. And then my quick shouts are Okay Not to Be Okay, Marshmallow, and then Will Be a Dream, which was a We the Kings and Demi feature that came out like in, I don't know, Warped Tour days.
My top is probably Fall in Line with Christina Aguilera.
Okay.
I think that this song got flack for when they performed it. Demi couldn't sound as good to Christina. Like she sounded a little pitchy. And that was very clearly that like they have similar ranges and Demi took the part that was less comfortable for both of them. But I like the message behind it. It's very feminist and I love the two of them on it together. Also Instructions. Also, I would probably put Okay Not to Be Okay in my top 3.
Okay.
And then my honorable mentions are Solo and Will Be a Dream.
Love it. Rapid fire, 1 round each. I'm going to give 3 albums to Amanda, and she is going to have to pick one. We are going Confident, Holy Fuck, Dancing with the Devil.
Dancing with the Devil. It has to be. I love an album that tells a story. I love a concept album.
Yeah. And it is peak concept album.
It also has the most genre-wise of like, it has a lot of ups and downs.
It also has 19 songs, so there's a lot to like.
That's true. For you, rapid fire. I don't know that I was rapid. Don't forget, Here We Go Again in Holy Fuck.
Oh, Here We Go Again. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it has to be.
What if, okay, in the reverse, make this a little bit harder. Don't forget Here We Go Again in Holy Fuck, you have to kill one. You can never listen to it.
Probably Don't Forget.
Wow.
It would be hard, but I would have to do it, I think. Because Holy Fuck just has too much good on it to kill that album. Where I don't know that Don't Forget has so much good. It just means a lot as the start of their career.
I'm sorry. I know I said a rapid fire 1 round each, but I wrote down a really good idea, one that I wanted to throw at you also.
Oh, okay. Let's go.
Skyscraper, Warrior, and Stone Cold. Choose one.
Oh. Ooh, favorite? Oh, I'm not killing it. I'm just picking one.
Yeah.
Okay, Stone Cold.
Oh, interesting.
What would you pick?
Probably Skyscraper.
Yeah, I
Just
figured.
how everything is. You're predictable.
No, I just knew that you really liked that one.
Well, yeah, for everything that it symbolizes,
Fair.
even though it's a lie. My final thoughts: how the fuck does one person do so much? So, in summation, Demi Lovato has 8 albums, so many guest features, so many soundtrack songs. Advocacy, like, okay, 8 studio albums, 2 video albums, 2 soundtrack albums, 1 remix album, 5 EPs, 53 singles, including 15 as a featured artist, 16 promotional singles. I couldn't even find a full list of all of the songs that Demi Lovato has recorded.
Yeah, I tried to find it and it doesn't exist. And I really tried.
In addition to that, and battling substance abuse and having fulfilling relationships, doing advocacy work that involved international travel for multiple causes, and having a somewhat acting career off and on throughout her life. How? And like most of that now has been sober. I'm sober. Actually, no, I'm on drugs, prescriptions, but still.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's insane. And I just really love her versatility, and I'm enjoying the rock era, but I hope that she continues to explore with her music, because I really love like the different sounds that she brings to various genres and blending them.
You start a soundtrack, Demi, to write a metal album, because I'd be down for that.
Do you have any other final thoughts?
No, I agree with you. Just like a true artist, a true creative. Like, we are so lucky to be able to experience the music and art that they create, and to relate or not relate to it, to enjoy it, however you choose to consume the art that she makes. We are so lucky that we've gotten such a long career from her, and I hope it continues. I know I will keep up with it. I know Amanda will too. Just love her.
If anything, this has taught me that sometimes you really should listen to the albums. If y'all are out here judging the art of starting over by its singles, girl, you gotta listen to the album.
That's on you.
Yeah.
That is on you.
Your favorite album is Here We Go Again, for sure, though, right?
Me, yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not classifying it as the best, because I don't think it's
no.
the best, but it's my favorite. Yeah. With that, please, normally I say don't tell us what you think, because we don't care and this is our passion project. But I'm actually so passionate about us continuing this music series. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun to me, and never once did I get sick of listening to Demi Lovato or researching or watching a video. Like, I loved every moment of it. So if you have ideas of like things that maybe we shouldn't include, or additional things you want us to add that we missed for any of the future artists we do this on, or what artists you would like us to do this on, please let us know, because I really want to continue this series and I want to know your thoughts.
This was your idea from beginning to end, so I hope that you feel fulfilled in it. We will continue to do it whether or not people like it, but I hope you liked it. I hope you please tell us, like just said, notes on how it could be improved, or other people to talk about, any of that.
Yeah, specifically like things that maybe you didn't need included, or things that we missed that you want to hear. I'd be very interested in that specifically, but just in general, what you think as well. And with that, please rate and review. It really helps us out. Follow us on YouTube and Instagram, 90s Babies Nostalgia. Spell out the word 90s, but on YouTube, on TikTok, use the numericals there. And up next, I think we're going to continue Life with Derek. So we'll have some Life with Derek season 2 coming for you. And with that, we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.